Several of you have commented on my lovely scarf, and I can say that it's lovely because I didn't buy it or pick it out. It was a gift from a dear friend of mine, and it had belonged to his partner, who was also a dear friend of mine and one of my spiritual teachers, who died, unfortunately, last October. And because of COVID, I didn't see his partner, Alan, for several months in person. So I'm on Zoom quite often. Texted, he's a wicked dry sense of humor, and we were texting back and forth, funny stuff. And but I hadn't seen him in person until a few weeks ago. And he brought some things here, and one of them was he gifted me with this scarf. And I was very touched that he would give me this in the first place. And the first thing that struck me was, well, it's orange. And it's a particular shade of orange that in India, in the ancient traditions of India, is associated with renunciation. It's also the color of the Buddha's monks' robes for these last 2,500 years to this very day. And so I thought, like, and one of the things that we had in common was a love of the Buddhist tradition and training, meditation training within it. And it was something we often talked about and shared. So it was a very meaningful gift to me, and I was very moved. And after I had it, and I wore it a couple times, it's not that thick, but it's amazingly warm. It must be very well knit. And I realized it's also large enough that I can open it like so. I can wear it as my meditation shawl, which is worn in many traditions. And there's a very practical reason for that. I have known, as long as I have meditated, that when I meditate, I tend not to get cold generally anyways, but particularly when I meditate, I'm almost never cold. As long as I'm meditating. As long as I'm meditating, I'm toasty. I even discovered that if I'm waiting for a subway train on a freezing Brooklyn platform at 7:30 in the morning, if I go into a light meditative state, just standing there on the platform, it actually helps me deal with the cold. Why that is, what the physiology of that is, I don't know. But I know that it's a fact. But the other piece of it is, as soon as I stop meditating, it's as if all of the heat rushes out of my body. And if I don't have a sweater or a jacket ready to put on, or if I'm not doing the meditation in something like this, I can actually start to shiver. So everybody's different in the temperatures that they're comfortable in. So you'll have to figure that out for yourself. But I wanted to let you know that you can experience, particularly if you go into start doing longer meditations, you can experience some interesting physiological changes. And there are a couple of just practical things I want to say about the environment in which you meditate. Ideally, an experienced meditator can meditate just about anywhere, including in the middle of Grand Central Station. But for beginners, that's not always such an ideal thing. So it doesn't have to be elaborate, but you want an environment that has a number of things. One, reasonably clean, reasonably uncluttered and open, and you don't want it too hot or too cold. if it's too warm, in particular, heat is more of an issue in some ways than cold, because cold, at least if it's a meat locker, but if it's a little cool in the room, that can be okay if you're dressed for it, because we naturally tend to be more awake and alert when it's cool. Heat makes us kind of go, and nod off a bit. And particularly if the light is too low and your eyes are closed and it's a little warm and it's a little stuffy, before you know it, you're gone. Or you may stay sitting up in the chair, but your mind is somewhere else. So be aware of some of those considerations, those practical considerations. So, and I want, and I probably will end up sounding like a broken record about some of this, but I really want to try to drive this point home. I want to encourage you to not think of meditation as something separate from everything else that you do. I want to think, I think of meditation as something like learning to ride a bicycle with training wheels. Meditation, the act of meditation, the deciding at 6 o'clock to sit on a cushion or a chair, fold your legs, take a particular posture, follow the breathing, practice a specific technique, is like practicing riding the bicycle with the training wheels. What you're doing is you're eliminating distractions as much as possible. You're creating as ideal an environment to have a particular type of experience of awareness, and you're smoothing it out. So while theoretically you could do this just about anywhere, in practice, you want an environment, especially when you're first learning, that facilitates, that supports your intention. So, but that doesn't mean that meditation as a quality in awareness is limited to that particular act, to that particular specific thing you do for half an hour at 6 o'clock in the morning or evening. And the more that you have an intention as part of your daily process to carry so in the formal sitting process, what you're doing is you are raising energy, and then you are taking it inside so that you can see clearly what's going on. And you are bringing the mind to a particular type of focus, which is often called mindfulness. And then you bring that, when you get off the mat or off your chair, you don't want to like close a circuit so that, turn the power off. You want to keep the circuit on and bring that quality out into the world with you, so that you have some presence and some mindfulness when you are washing the dishes, when you are washing yourself in the shower, when you are trimming your toenails, or filling your bowl with cornflakes, or changing the tire on the car, or whatever it is. Then, once you've made that leap, once you've brought that spark of mindfulness and attention and awareness off the mat and into daily life, then the whole world becomes your meditation hall. And all kinds of things serve as reminders. Once you have that intention and make that conscious shift, then then sudden, car goes by and backfires, instead of just having a mechanical, what was that? The stillness that you've developed within enables you to that vibration of the backfire just becomes ripples in the mind and actually heightens your mindfulness. At least that's the best way I can describe it at this moment. So be aware of that. And that's why I stress that being clear within yourself about what you're doing each time you sit to meditate, what you want, and you can silently articulate that to yourself. I am sitting today to cultivate peace in myself, or to nourish wisdom, or to develop more kindness and patience and compassion with other people. You can choose your framework of what you want to work on in your meditation sessions. It's a huge smorgasbord of possibilities. So I wanted to just mention that. So let's see. So I want to work today with you all on a couple of exercises, just to see if we can't introduce the role of feeling into the meditation process a bit. So one of the things that I discovered some years ago, partly through meditation and partly through other things, was this interesting observation to me. I found it interesting that everything in my experience, I realized, has an emotional charge to it. It might be very slight. So I look around the room here. I'm in a church, and the chairs, I see the chairs on the side. I don't have any kind of sharp emotional reaction to them, but I realize that everything that I see, I have some kind of an emotional relationship to, some kind of response to. And with some, it's very strong. With some, it's weaker. With some, it's pleasant, what we would call positive, and with some, it's just a little disturbing, and which we call negative. So one of the things that you can do with meditation is to, I'd like you to now just do a basic, I'll do it with you, a basic entry into meditation. So whatever your situation where you are in your room or office, just take a basic meditation posture, which is to say, straighten your spine a little bit, not ramrod stiff at all, but and the easiest way that I have ever found, which several of my teachers, including my Tai Chi teacher and my principal Buddhist meditation teacher, Ruth Dennison, taught me, was to imagine that there's an invisible string attached to the top of your head, and it gently pulls your head upwards towards the ceiling so that your head rises, and then you let the rest of the body drop, sink from that gently, not collapse. My teacher's teacher said, not tofu, not like tofu, but just gently let the rest of the body kind of sink down toward the floor. So the head rises or floats and the body sinks, and you can relax the whole body. If it's helpful to you to tense the muscles and, let them go, you can do that. Usually works best to sort of start at the head and work your way down to the feet, or you can do it in the reverse, from the feet up to the head. Or you can just imagine a wave of relaxation passing through your whole body. And then bring your attention to your breathing, not in a real tightly focused way, but just be aware of your breath without trying to change it or control it. This isn't a breathing exercise like pranayama, where you're trying to achieve a particular rhythm of your breathing for a particular effect. This is just bringing awareness to the breathing process as a whole, the in-breath, the out-breath, at whatever pace it is occurring naturally. And then rest your eyes a little bit. Don't close them all the way. And this is just to get a sense of your interior. Okay. So now look and see if there's an object in your immediate environment that you have a negative, any kind of mild negative reaction to. If not, if you like everything you see, then think of something you don't like. It can be a physical object, could be a person, could be something somebody said last week, but just something that is mildly, slightly disturbing. Not the guy that traumatized you when you were 4 years old, but maybe it's the hideous pillow that Aunt Matilda gave you when you were 12 and you don't have the nerve to throw it out because she still visits and it pleases her to see it. But you hate the thing, but not in a big way. And the point of this exercise is to feel the feeling in relationship to that object or person or idea or thought. And just do that for a minute or two. And when you've got it clear in mind, you can close your eyes so that you can focus more closely on the feeling itself without telling a story to yourself about it. Don't analyze it. Don't comment on it. And just be present with it. Okay. Now, gently let go of the meditation and come back into the room a little more fully to your computer or phone, however you're connecting to this. So were you able to find an object or something, and were you able to experience the feeling relating to that? So one of the things that you can do, what you want to develop the ability to do, is to look at that feeling response to things. And you can do it with positive and negative. And I recommend during the week, play with it and look at something that really gives you pleasure, or think of someone that you really love. The point is not the object or the person. The point is your feeling. And getting to know it, there's sort of two aspects to it. One is getting to know the feeling more clearly, and the other is being able to have a kind of space of awareness around it in which it's held. So that you have, on the one hand, it's almost as if you have more distance from it and you're less tight to the reactions. And at the same time, you're actually more in touch with it. So it's kind of on a spectrum that way. If there's any single thought that I might hope you would take away from this series, about meditation, it's this idea, which one spiritual teacher expressed as, you become what you meditate on. The basis of that is the notion that whatever we direct our attention to, we take into our field of awareness. If we dwell on it, it becomes a constant. We develop a neural path relating to that, whatever it is. And the more reinforcement it gets, the more fluid and easier it becomes to open that pathway, which, if the subject is something we find difficult or unpleasant, is not a particularly good thing. So that, so if you spend a lot of time complaining, let's say, we complain, I think, part of the root intention is to get rid of things we don't like, to remove them from our awareness. But the ironic part is that the more we focus on them, the more they are part of us. You become what you meditate on. And part of the gift of meditation is that it can enable us to merge or meld our consciousness with something else. The breath, our own body, our own physical experience, an icon, as in Eastern Orthodox prayer and meditation, or a yantra in India and other traditions, so that the qualities of that thing, whatever it is, become a part of who we are. We take it into our own heart and mind, and it becomes a part of us. So I guess you might almost say the cautionary note is, be careful what you meditate on. Sort of like, be careful what you ask for. Because the more you give attention to, you are cultivating the qualities of that thing in yourself to some degree. So knowing what we're feeling in response to the world is very important, and meditation can help us with that, and it can also help us to clear our field of attention of unwanted and unhelpful aspects. I want to say a word or two, just very quickly, about meditation as a kind of early warning system that can be helpful when we're starting to move into an unskillful process of thought. One of the things that I found really helpful in the Buddhist tradition, which is now being echoed in some psychological schools, is that we have a tendency as human beings to label things as good and bad, including ourselves. And the Buddha taught that this is basically an unskillful way of looking at things. And so rather than defining our whole selves by a particular aspect of who we are, the Buddha said, when you fly into a rage, or you experience depression or anxiety or some difficult emotion, don't tell yourself, I'm blank, I'm a rageaholic, or I'm stupid, or any of these things. Just look at it more as, I'm experiencing a moment of poor brain functioning. Recently, I set up an air purifier where I live, and it has an indicator light. When the air quality in the room is pretty good, it's blue. When it's so-so, it's yellow, and when it's got a lot of crud in it, it turns to red. Meditation can function in a similar way as a sort of indicator for where we're at if we pay attention to it. And just as particles of dust in the air aren't bad, the room isn't bad if it's, stuffy and close. It just needs a good cleaning. And similarly with our own hearts and minds. So meditation can help give us a certain amount of distance from that internal experience so that we can let go of it more easily. In the time that we have left to us, I want to introduce you to a couple of meditation practices, which I hope you will play with further during the week. The first one, which I wrote about for Soberocity a little bit in my last blog, incorporates some of the training that I did in the 80s in a particular system of Tibetan Buddhism, and called the Shambhala training. And one of the ideas that the founder of that tradition presented, which I found really helpful, was he emphasized the quality of taking what he called taking your seat. And I'd like to give you a taste of it now. So once again, assume a basic solid meditation posture. Straighten your spine, let it have some length, let it have some room between the vertebrae. And your feet, if you're sitting in a chair, your feet should be flat on the floor. And your posture, and maybe you want to rest your palms on your knees, on the upper surface of your knees, or maybe you want to clasp your hands in front of your abdomen, whatever is comfortable for you. And if you're used to doing it a particular way, by all means, use that. And close your eyes gently, not squinting or shutting them tightly, but gently. And go inside and get a general sense of where you're at this moment, of how you feel totally. And here's the impression that I would like you to play with. Imagine that you are sitting on your throne as a king or queen would, with inherent dignity and nobility expressed in every line of your frame. You're the king, you're the queen. You have decisions to make that are important. You're a good monarch. You're responsible for many people's lives, and you care about them. You care about your subjects. You're a wise king or queen, like Solomon or Elizabeth. And see if you can feel the quality of dignity, of nobility, expressed in your posture. What does that feel like? And just stay with that for a minute. Stay in that place. Don't come out of the meditation. And just let my words float in the background of your awareness. Take in what I'm saying, but don't come out of the mindful state. I'm going to ask you all a question. First, I'm going to ask it in its original form. Hakomi. Now, unless you speak Hopi, you probably don't know what Hakomi means. In its ancient form, it meant, how do you stand in relation to these many realms? That is, where are you at in relation to all of the aspects of who you are and your connections into the world? In modern Hopi, when Native Americans greet each other with this, it simply means, how are you? But it still carries that deeper connotation. So deepen your meditation now a little. Go inside and let that question resonate within you. How am I? And be silent inside and listen and feel what comes up without analysis or much commentary. And I'll be quiet for a minute or two to let you do that. There are no right or wrong answers to that question. There's only whatever your immediate present experience is. And it will change, most likely, each time you ask yourself that question. But it's a very simple, effective way of tuning in to where you're at a given moment. And letting the feelings, and this is important, letting the feelings have breathing room to live and to be inside you, with you, without needing to change them, shape them, rearrange, suppress, expand, or alter in any way. Just being present with yourself as you are. Hakomi is also a modern system of psychotherapy that uses meditative prompts like this question. It's not the only one. I'm going to offer you a couple more prompts for you to experience. Stay inside, feel into your body and your breath, and see what you experience, what you feel when I say the phrase, I am peaceful and calm. And if you want, you can take that phrase and repeat it inwardly to yourself. And you can repeat it in whatever part of your body you feel you need it most. If your stomach is a little tight or upset, you might want to imagine the phrase repeating there, or in your throat or your forehead. Where in your body do you need peace most? Or where is peace most already present? And now we're going to move on from that to something quite similar, which I'm very pleased to be able to share with you. This is the first meditation that I ever tried from a book when I was 13 years old, growing up in northwestern Connecticut, where there were no meditation teachers back then. It's very simple practice. With your eyes still closed, you bring your attention fully into your breathing and follow the breath in and out. And as you draw the breath in, you think the word peace. And as you exhale or breathe out, again, you think peace. On the in-breath, you imagine drawing peace into your lungs, into your body, into your bloodstream and brain. And as you exhale, you release peace into your environment, into your home, and into the world that you inhabit. Peace. Peace. And your focus is mainly on the feeling of peace, not the idea of it. And just be present with that for a minute or two. Once again, stay within the space of mindfulness. I just want to offer a word, particularly for anybody that is here as a part of Soberocity, or not, but deals or has dealt with issues of addiction or recovery in any form. If the word serenity is meaningful to you personally because you have a connection perhaps to one or more of the 12-step programs, then you might want to work with that in your personal meditation rather than peace. Serenity is even deeper than peace. It's what we might consider one of the high-end emotions. It's peace refined to the highest degree. It's like a river shining silver in the darkness. It's a very, very beautiful quality. And if you can take that river into yourself and get it to flow in your mind and body, it's a wonderful thing. So I wanted to offer that. And now we'll close with one last meditation, which hopefully all of this has prepared us for, led up to. This meditation is 25 to 2600 years old. It was taught by the Buddha himself to his disciples in one of the core scriptures of the Buddhist tradition, the Metta Sutta or Metta Sutra. Metta is a Pali term for loving kindness. which is like serenity, one of those high-end aspects of feeling, of our capacity to feel as human beings. You begin this meditation by directing your attention to the area of your heart, the center of feeling. And for many people, it's easiest to first kindle the spark of the feeling of love, of loving kindness, of compassion, by remembering someone or something that awakens that feeling in us. An experience, someone who's gave us tremendous support and help, whatever it might be. Could be a piece of music. I was listening on Spotify to a Carly Simon song I hadn't heard in 20 years last night. And there was just a rush of compassion. And when you have that feeling at the center of your chest, silently, inwardly repeat these words. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. And once you've done that a few times, you can shorten it and make it, may I be happy, peaceful, free from suffering. And just repeat that inwardly for a minute or so. And then think of someone, probably a living human being, but it could be somebody beloved that has passed on, with whom you have a great connection of love and caring, and direct that energy of love and compassion that you've built in your heart to that person. It could also be a place, could be an animal, could be a flower, but whatever, something that you naturally are drawn to and cherish. And repeat silently, may Susan be happy. May Susan be peaceful. May Susan be free from suffering. Or you can use the short form. Whatever or whoever it is. And if you want, you can visualize them standing in a spotlight of golden light, receiving that rain of loving kindness that you are directing to them from your heart, like a spotlight. Soak them, saturate them with loving kindness that dispels darkness and suffering. And that raises up peace within them. And now gather all of your force, all of the force of your being, all of the clarity of intention and purpose that you have. Bring it fully into your heart, into your feeling center. And instead of seeing that as a spotlight directed outward to one particular person or place, let that light radiate in all directions to infinity. Let your heart be like a sun in the center of your chest, radiating the light of loving kindness and compassion in all directions at the same time. And say inwardly, may all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free from suffering. And send that wish out into the universe without limit. And let your own being dissolve and radiate out with that light. Until you are compassion. You are loving kindness. And then very slowly, very gently, let yourself resume your normal mind and presence as a physical being in this world, in some particular room, with some particular thoughts and some name that you were given long ago when you can't remember. And when you're ready, release the meditation and open your eyes.